Hi guys, welcome to another video to learn bowling. So in this video, I want to talk about what is the ideal two-handed downswing. Yes, especially for the two-handed game. So I'm going very specifically into the downswing portion for the two-handed game because it is quite important. Like I've seen a lot of young bowlers and bowlers who are new that come into bowling, and I myself have struggled with this for the longest time when I'm trying to learn two-handed bowling on my own. Because no, obviously we look at Belmonte. And this is the KRPBA Tour Finals. I will probably provide a link to all these videos that I will so-called show on this stream. And he's actually throwing the last shot for his perfect game in game one of his championship match against Don Barrett. So, is that okay? So he strikes because he does get a perfect game. But if we look at Belmo's form, right? Let me bring out the pen. So a lot of people sort of look at Belmo's form, and Belmo actually does his swing and is released so quickly that it's very difficult to catch the subtleties of the subtle changes in his downswing. So a lot of people do the same. I myself included. I do the same as him. Which if I keep my bowling elbow bent throughout the swing, because you look at Belmo, he actually does that, right? He keeps his bowling elbow bent. So you see, he sort of straightens it, but it's not fully straight, right? You can see here, he keeps it bent a little bit. And I'm gonna try and play as slow as possible. Let's see if we can have like 0.25 speed. I'm gonna mute it. So if you see throughout his backswing, yeah. So Belmo has this famous bent elbow right at the back, compared with other pros like two-handed pros from international or like from US, especially like Carl Troop and Jesper Svensson, which keeps their elbows straight all the way throughout the swing. But I myself also I keep my elbows bent because I did try the straight arm swing method, like from Jesper Svensson as well as Carl Troop, but it just doesn't work for me. Like my shoulders just isn't as flexible as probably they are. Then we're gonna continue playing. And a lot of people don't notice that actually Belmo actually straightens his elbow on the downswing. So if you're like a frequent viewer of my recent videos, and like in the recent videos, I've talked about this in my analysis. So these are a few of my own videos. I talk about the analysis of the two-handers, right? Especially a lot of them, they come from the BIS Bowling and Science Academy. And Coach Shireen, Coach Sandra, as well as Coach Shireen previously was working with Bowling and Science elite students, the elite students there before moving on to take on his role as the technical director of Singapore Bowling. They probably understood this as well because all their students actually, most of their students almost always do this, which is they actually have a straight elbow. They straighten their bowling elbow on the downswing to maximize the length of their swing, which is actually what Belmo actually does. But just that a lot of young bowlers, when they try to emulate or they try to learn the two-handed game, they actually don't see this and they actually don't learn this. So case in point is that we have another bowler from BIS. So for example, this young bowler, yeah, manages to straighten his elbow here, right? And then this young bowler, Kane Ong, he looks like a pretty new bowler because I haven't coached him before. I was with the BIS like the NDP or the NDP program, like National Development Program, like 2 years ago. I was learning my trade there. So you can see that he actually doesn't. He keeps his elbow bent throughout the swing, and doesn't manage to get his bowling elbow straight on the downswing. So this has certain disadvantages whereby you'll be scooping up the ball. You will have a late release. You will actually slow down your ball speed as well because you are shortening your swing. So as per the formula, physics formula for angular velocity is the shorter the radius of your swing. That means if I were to draw the shorter the radius of your swing, this is the radius, right, of like a full circle. So the shorter this radius, the slower the amount of angular velocity, the slower the amount of linear velocity you get in the ball. So your ball goes slower. So the longer your swing, if you can lengthen your swing, then your ball speed will go faster. So this is just physics. Is a physics formula, is part of physics laws, and it just makes sense, right? If you like do any kind of sports, if you throw any kind of baseball, tennis ball, basketball, you know that straightening your arm, straightening your full arm, like straightening your elbow when you throw a ball, the ball goes faster. It's a lot of people who do sports, they will understand that in instinctively. So here we see that we play, and now in slow motion you will see that actually Belmo straightens his elbow on the downswing. But if you look at it in full speed, you can barely notice it. So this is in normal speed when we just play and we look at Belmo's release and downswing. Like you will almost think that his elbow is bent all the way, right? But he actually manages to straighten it. So it's a very complex movement, difficult to learn. I myself haven't perfected myself yet, so I'm so struggling to learn it as well. But definitely for a student, if you're learning two-handed, you want to you're wondering why your two-handed ball speed is like not enough, or you're wondering why your release is late and your ball bounces on the lane and so on, or release isn't smooth. This is probably the reason. This is the ideal two-handed downswing. So you can see that this is the exact same video, exact same frame, 17:30, right, in the video, but just that I freezed it on the exact moment that Belmo enters into his downswing in his bowling release, and you can see that his elbow is actually totally straight on the downswing. His spine is also totally straight, which is maybe a little bit too far forward, but I mean, he is the world's best bowler, so I'm not going to comment too much about his physical game. But a lot of what he does is really good, right? That's what we develop our two-handed bowling game from, by observing top bowlers by Belmo and so on. So you see that he straightens his elbow. And if we look at other professional bowlers, like prominent bowlers, very obviously, Caltrup obviously straightens his elbow as well, because I think his elbow is straight all the way, even throughout the downswing, the backswing, and throughout the release. And then if we look at another bowler, Jesper Svensson, also famous two-handed bowler from Sweden. So almost straight. He has a little bit of bend, but it's almost totally straight. So he has very flexible like shoulder joints and so on, where you can see that his shoulder almost contorts, like his right shoulder is able to get like in front of his face, right? Like personally, I myself, I'm not that flexible. My shoulder joints I'm not as flexible as Jesper Svensson, so I cannot do like a totally almost straight extended arm swing like this. So my elbow has to be bent in the backswing. But you can see that he does this, and if we like play this video and he goes into his downswing, okay, let me try again. A little bit further into the video as he goes into his downswing. Yep, so you can see here, obviously in this freeze frame, Jesper Svensson's elbow, bowling elbow, totally straight as well. And then the last one, I will quote another pro bowler, will be Anthony Simonsen. So Anthony Simonsen also has the sort of like the bent elbow in the beginning of his ball placement, right? So I'm gonna like just like replay this. So you can see that he actually has his elbow bent in his so-called initial stance and in his initial ball placement. So bowlers who are looking to emulate, young two-handed bowlers who are looking to learn and emulate from like Belmo and Anthony Simonsen, will feel like, okay, it's okay to have my elbow bent. During the downswing, yes, but Anthony Simonsen also does the extension. Like he actually does a mini extension in his placement. So this video is already in slow motion. You can see that it's bent. Now he actually fully extends it. He fully extends his bowling elbow. His bowling arm is almost totally straight as he goes into his backswing. So he goes into his backswing. Then a lot of people will notice that at the top of his backswing, his elbow is bent, right? So people will think like, okay, it's okay to keep my bowling elbow bent in my two-handed downswing. But what a lot of people don't notice is that on the downswing, Simonsen actually fully straightens his elbow right before his ball enters into the downswing. So you can see here, proof again, that Anthony Simonsen's bowling elbow is almost fully straight. And if you were to continue playing this video, yep, and further down into his downswing, you can see totally straight elbow as well. So in summary, the ideal two-handed release downswing is to have your elbow straightened at the beginning of your downswing, like when the ball is actually coming down. So similar to what Anthony Simonsen as well as Belmo is doing, you can actually have your elbow bent during your two-handed bowling swing, But it's important that on the downswing, like what Anthony Simonsen is doing here, and what Belmo is doing in this particular frame as well. At the start of the downswing, it is really important to have your bowling elbow straight. Straighten your bowling elbow, straighten your bowling arm, and then you have a higher ball speed, you have a smoother bowling release, and hopefully you get more strikes. Right? Thank you very much for watching. We will see you guys next video.